Yate to Shahat. Greetings and thank you for allowing me to be a part of your project. So it's very inspiring to see all the different activities throughout the country for the youth, the communities, and beyond. And so in our part of the world, we have always been a part of the environment, and that's what we are. And we continue to practice that way. And a lot of times, we're in the marginalized communities. We're not in my own community of Big Mountain. We are basically outcast by the state, the federal, and the tribal governments. So for us to continue to live our way of life, we have to teach our children, our future generation, how to be that person, how to be that individual that lives with the earth. And I teach this for over 40 years now as a clan mother, a grandmother, and a mother. And so our way of governing ourselves is through clanship. I'm a clan mother. That's my clan. And I am related to Tapaha, my father's clan. My grandfather on my mother's side is Ashchi, and then my Nala is Shisha. So that's who I am. That's who I am as a person. That's how I identify myself to the natural world, the earth, the universe. If I go to commune with the mother nature, then I have to introduce myself that way. And so that's what we teach to our young children. Know your identity, first of all. Secondly, is the process of life. When you are going to come into this world, your mother carries you in her womb. For 9 months, you're in water. And so a lot of our clans are based on water, even though we're in a desert region. And so our teaching is probably reversed from the teaching in the Western concept. So our teaching is a lot of times you have to be with the earth. You have to connect with her through offering to the fire, to the water, to the air, to the land, the natural elements. And then come seeds, seasons, the color of dawn, daytime, evening, and night. That's our Dene flag, and that's our identity. So in my class, we are not in a building. We're not connected to no electricity. We sit under the tree. We start each morning when the morning star comes up at 4:45, 5 o'clock, depending on the morning star. We go out and communicate with that time, because we're taught that in those time is when nature's ear is closest to an individual. So we have white cornmeal that's prepared for that time. Noon is the corn pollen. Evening is yellow cornmeal. Night is the dust of what you call fool's gold that represents the stars. So that's kind of like the cycle that we teach. And nature is our classroom. So then we go out and journey, and each day we still practice or teach the young ones how to build a fire, how to collect wood that's going to be productive for that fire so you can eat from it, so you can get warmth from it. And those are the natural orders, the natural laws that are being forgotten because everybody wants to be, the white man, so called, in the society that makes rules and laws from somewhere else that don't understand nature. So it's always a conflict. It's always a chaos. And so our teaching is you have to live with this nature to be able to understand it, to be able to respect it, and it does the same back to you. So in this time, especially with the COVID, for us, it's old teaching. They used to tell us, you're born alone. You don't always need to try to control somebody else. You don't always need to be controlled by another person. So the concept of that is very different from Western education. And so it brings us home. It's an equalizer as how we see it as traditional people, because people have forgotten the roots of life. They're so dependent on destruction of nature so they could extract whatever the resources are in it, so they can go and touch a piece of thing on the wall to the light to come on, and the more that is needed, so people can fly from one end of the continent to the other side in a few hours, so they can make more rules, more laws. And so all that stopped because of the COVID. And so it's like things are at a standstill, but that's what nature called for, so that everybody can get back and remember that they come from the earth. Remember that they need the earth to live. We need to remember that there needs to be a balance. So in my sense of what you're teaching as Outdoor Education Network is a door opening for a lot of the younger people so they can learn about nature, live with nature, being in balance with nature. So these are the kind of teachings that we offer through Indigenous Cultural Concepts. And we actually go out and do hands-on activities because that's the best way we can teach our youth. I did not learn in a school. I had to learn one word at a time from different individuals. The hippies found me out in the desert, me and my people, because we were ousted, because we would not consent to leaving the lands that we call our mother so that they could come in and coal mine. They were trying to push us off. When I was a youngster, I learned that at a very young age that my people were being forced off the land. And because of what my elders told me, they said, no, we cannot leave this land. This is our mother. And somehow we have to learn to communicate that to the people that are making all these laws in a place called Washington. And so I had to take it among myself to learn each word the best way I could, to let the people that make the policies know that we are not leaving this land, and extraction of fossil fuel is not acceptable, and it will not happen. It took us over 46 years or so to get that point across, but we got it across as a couple years ago. the energy company that was extracting the resources, calling for us to be removed from our lands, decided to leave because Babylon was crashing and the environment was starting to get hot, or, their money was not working anymore. So by 2018, 19, around that era, they said, okay, we're going to leave this land and move on because they're not buying the coal no more. And thank God California didn't want fossil fuel anymore. So they pulled the plug on them, and slowly, our so-called tribal governments learned that, but it took them a long time to learn that it wasn't good for them. So they said, okay, we need to get away from this. But throughout all these 40 years, we had to also remember that we had future generation, we had children, and we have to somehow give them that teaching. And it was up to people my age group and a little bit older. We were young and we saw what was happening. So we got together and started doing survival school, where we taught the children how to survive from the land. And we continue that to this day. And, we're always disqualified in the white man's thinking. They say, oh, your organization, blah, blah, blah. But, like I said, we're set up with natural laws. We go by clanship, clan mothers. They are the ones that make the decision because they're the ones that hold the rules of order in each home. So then clan mothers are responsible to uphold that and to oversee the teaching of those things. So that's how we are in our culture, and that's what we continue. And thank you, Outdoor Education Network, because you opened a door for us by supporting us with, a few sleeping bags, a couple tents, floor mats, a few cooking tools, because we will use those to teach our children, our grandchildren, that, you can share. It's called sharing. And, that's who we are, just so that you know who we are. And a lot of times we don't fit in the picture of the Western concept because we're not really a part of that society. We're still holding on to our lands. We're still holding on to our ways of life. And a lot of times there's legislation and policies that try to box those in from us. But we overstep a lot of those so-called laws and rules because we have our own laws with nature. And that's what we have to uphold. And that's what we're doing. So thank you. And we hope you enjoy our little film.